Okay, what I want to do here is I want to make a radial bar graph, and I want to show you how to do that. So I'm going to start out using one of the graph tools. There's the graphs, and then I'm going to grab a pie graph, and what I want to do is I want to use the pie graph to make my bars. So I'm just going to trace out a big old block here so I get a nice big circle. In order to be able to make a bar graph, what I need to do is I need to put in some values, and I need to put in at least 3 bars. So I'm going to say the first bar ratio, I want it to be 75 to 25. So remember, on pie graphs, they all have to add up to 100. So I'm going to get the first bar to be 75% that we want and 25% that we don't. For the second bar, I'm going to make this one 50% and 50%. And I'm just picking some random numbers here. The third one I'm going to make 25% and 75%. What that's going to do is, if I click this, it's going to give me 3 pie charts. So I'm going to apply that, and now you can see I have 3 different pie charts. This one's 75% black and 25% the gray color. This one is half and half, and this one is 25% black and 75% the gray color. What I want to do now, before I go any further, is I want to kind of just take the parts of the bar that I need and get rid of everything else. With everything selected, I'm going to come to my stroke panel, and I'm going to bring that down to 0 stroke. So now you see there's no stroke on any of those. I'm going to select now the group selection tool. That's the one with the little plus sign under your direct selection tool. And then I could select individual things. So over here, these white parts are the parts I'm not going to use, so I'm going to select all 3 of them, and then come down to my fill, and I'm going to select no fill. So now all I see is the 3 different wedges that I need to make into bars, and I want to color those. I'm just going to use some simple colors. 75 I'm going to make red, 50% I'm going to make that my green, and the fill for the 25% I'm going to make blue. So now that I have all those, remember the rest of the chart is still there. You just can't see it. You see if I hover over it, you can see that it's adding it back in. I haven't ungrouped that chart yet. So the next thing I want to do is, with it all selected, I'm going to go to Object, Graph, Type, and now I want to bring those together. So I'm going to bring it down to Stacked, make sure Sort is on None, click OK. And now you see I basically have a radial chart with bars. I have the red bar, the green bar, and the blue bar. So now how do I go about making some space between the bars and taking only the pieces I need and making them all even and work out? So what I like to do is I like to use the polar grid for that. I'm going to click here. Here's my polar grid. And what I want to do is I want to bring it over here and start out right in the center point. I'm going to hold down Option on my Mac, that would be Alt on a PC, and I'm going to hold down Shift so that I draw circles going out. And you can see I've got a group of circles that are going out. These circles would normally have spokes in them, but I had already reduced it last time that I used this to 0 spokes, and I increased the number of circles to get what I wanted. So I'm going to leave it there. Now this is all grouped together, so what I want to do is I want to ungroup these concentric circles. So I'm going to ungroup once. You see it's still grouped, so I'm going to ungroup it again. And then if I select 2 of those pieces, they're both selected now. I held Shift and selected both. One of the things I can do is I can go to Live Paint. So I'm going to come down to my painting tools. Here's Paint, and there's Live Paint right there. If I come over here and choose a color, I'm going to make this color red, and when I bring the tool in over here, you see how those blue lines turn red? I can drop that red color right in there. So now I have 2 pieces. I have the red here, and I have this colored piece. Now right now the red's not selected, the red wedge, the red bar, but this is the width of the bar that I want to have. So I'm going to go to, while the other is selected and painted, I'm going to go to Object. I'm going to go to Live Paint, and I'm going to expand. When I expand, what it does is it turns that into an object. So now I have these 2 pieces, and if I select all of these, they're still grouped, so I'm going to ungroup the other object, ungroup. Now it's telling me that this contains a graph, and if I ungroup, I won't be able to retain it or make adjustments to the graph. I'm going to say yes because I don't care. And again, I'm going to go back here. It's still grouped, so I'm going to ungroup again. Object, let's go ungroup all. There you go. Now I have the red. I'm going to hold shift and click on the circle that I made, the red circle. And then I'm going to come down to my pathfinder tools, which are over here, and I'm going to choose the intersection between the two. And you can see now I have a red bar that is circular. And it's right where it needs to be. It's exactly the right size that I need it to be. And now I'm coming down to find my next two circles. I'm going to skip to that one, and then come down, hold shift, select the next one. So now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go to my live paint tool. Now I'm going to pick the green color that I want, and when I bring it over here, those turn red. I can now paint in between them. And then object, again, we're going to go down to live paint and expand. And if we don't expand, it won't become a path, so we can't use it for the tools that we're using. Alright, so now I'm going to select the green wedge along with the green circle. And again, I'm going to come to my pathfinder tools, and I'm going to select the intersect part. So now I have two bars. Now I just need to work on the blue one. So again, coming to my next line and holding shift and getting the next line, I can again make this into a path by painting. So I'm going to select my live paint tool, select the blue, and bring it over here and paint. Then I'm going to go down to, again, object, live paint, expand, and then I'm going to select the other wedge. So holding shift, I have the circle and the wedge selected, and once again in my pathfinder tools, I'm going to use the intersect. And any other circles that are here, we don't need them anymore, so we can just find them and delete them if we want. So now we have a radial bar chart that looks pretty good. And it's easy to see, and it wasn't that hard to make. So if you want to make a radial bar chart, this is one way that you can go about doing it.